Welcome back to the Ford Shop Yard, ladies and gentlemen. This is Ryan. And today I'm going to be talking to you about, how often should you change your own oil and what oil you should use, how often you should go between changes. Now, on Frankie here, my 01 Expedition, it's got the 5.4 V8 Triton in it. One of the best motors Ford's ever made. It's never had a lick of problems. Never had no problems out of it whatsoever. And this truck takes 5W20 Motorcraft synthetic blend motor oil. Now I know you can't see much right there because it's worn off, but you can see 5W and it's supposed to be 5W20. Now you hear a lot about these. Most people, their own cars, they say, when it's hot out, I use a heavier oil, like a 10W30, 10W40, and when it's colder, I use a, 5W20, 530, things like that. Well, today, I'm going to tell you exactly what I think of that. Now, I believe in that wholeheartedly. Now, in this truck, I always use, even though it calls for 520, it doesn't burn a single drop of oil. It doesn't leak a drop of oil or nothing. But I always use 10W40 because it's a heavier oil, and to me, I think it protects it better. And even in hot and cold months, I still use the same viscosity 1040 because that's what I like. Okay. Now, some of these modern cars, they say, okay, let's see. We'll take Dad's Nissan. As you can see, right there, it's a 2018 Nissan Altima with a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder motor. That car calls for 0W20. Okay? But what do I always use in it? Hot or cold, I always put in 10W40. Because to me, 0W20 is just too thin, and I don't care about the flow of it or how good it flows, because that doesn't to me it means nothing. I mean, all oil flows the same, it doesn't matter, to me anyway. But I always use 1040 in everything, all my vehicles. Now, well, not all my vehicles, but like in my 94 F-150, when I had it on the road and driving it, I always put in 530 because that's what it called for. And it never leaked a bit of oil. It never burned a drop of oil, never leaked a drop of oil. Nothing like that. And that's what I always used, and it always did well. Now, another thing I'd like to talk about is, should you pre-fill or should you not fill your oil filters before you reinstall them on your car or truck? Well, I don't find it necessary. For one, because I don't think you get a proper reading once you check your oil after you change it. And two, it goes for where your oil filter is located on your car or truck. Is it on the side of the block? Is it on the bottom? You screw it on, Give you an example. Right there is the oil filter on Frankie. And as you can see, if I can get it to focus, let's see if I can get a little closer. I don't know if you can make that out. Let's see. No, I can't get it close enough. Maybe. Anyway, that is a Ford Motorcraft part number FL-820S. That's all I use on this truck, Motorcraft. I've seen, people, they make different, I know they make different kinds of oil filters and brands and things like that, but in my opinion, I think whatever brand car you have, whether it be a Ford, you use Ford oil filters and Ford parts, or if you have a Toyota, you use Toyota parts, or Nissan, use Nissan parts, whatever. And, you know, that's just the way I feel. But back to the oil filter situation, it all depends, should you pre-fill it or not, depends on how it's, you know, how it's, you put it back on, how it's, where it's located. As you can see, Frankie's oil filter is located right on the side of the block. And so I never pre-fill it because it's not needed. And besides, I would, you know, I'd fill it all out before I got it screwed on tight. So that's why I don't do it. And even if you have one, you know, let's see. I think I've got one here in the back of my truck. Let me look. Because I just changed the oil in my grandma's 2020 Ford EcoSport. Just changed her oil. And what did I do? Right here. Here it is, right here. As you can see, for her car, it takes a Ford Motorcraft FL-910S. And me being a Ford man, I always use Ford parts. Oil filters, spark plugs, always use Ford parts no matter what. And I have every oil filter, you know, number, you know, part number memorized in my head. So, my grandma's car takes a Motorcraft FL-910S filter. My Expedition here takes an FL-820S filter. Now, my 97 Expedition takes the exact same filter as on Frankie here. It's the same exact, you know, Ford Motorcraft FL-820S. Same exact filter and everything. So, I mean, because, I mean, they're the same vehicle. I mean, they got the same basic V8 and everything. But I have every oil filter, Motorcraft oil filter number memorized in my head for every vehicle that I own. My 1974 Ford Maverick, it's got the 50302 V8 in it, and the model number for it, for the filter, is a Motorcraft FL-1A. That's what it takes, what filter it takes. And, you know, once again, they make all different kinds of filters. They make all kinds of brands and you know, whatever, of oil filters for different cars and different trucks. But I can't remember if I just mentioned this or not, but I always use Motorcraft because it fits the best and it seals the best. I've had other, you know, like on my 94 F-150, I put a Fram filter on it that they said it would fit, and I mean, it's screwed on and everything. But after about 1,000 miles, and I always tighten them up right. I always, you know, hand tight and a little more than hand tight. I don't go crazy. I always tighten them up right. And even with that Fram filter, even though it went on there, it didn't seal up right, and it leaked. After about 1,000 or so miles of driving, I started hearing some valve clatter. So I checked my oil. Well, it was probably a quart and a half low. And so I got underneath and I looked, and lo and behold, the oil filter was leaking. Now, not you know, not a crazy amount. You know, it wasn't leaking like just pouring out of it. But I mean, I could see where it had been slowly just running and dribbling out. Slowly dribbling out. And so I said, you know what, forget this. I went and got the stuff to change it. Got a Ford Motorcraft filter and Ford Motorcraft oil 5W30. Changed it. The oil filter didn't leak one bit. Quality Ford parts, and you'll never have any problems. Back to the different brands of filters. They may fit your vehicle, but they don't seal up right. I mean, they're just not made as well as the original equipment for whatever your vehicle is. You know, they're not just made, they're cheaper made. And yeah, like the filter here on Frankie. These filters, Motorcraft filters, are $9 each. And they're all about the same price for each filter. That one's $9, this one on Frankie was $9. You know, the one from a Maverick and all, they were all about the same price because they're all the same brand. They're all about the same price. Now, I've seen the diesel ones, the ones for the Ford Power Stroke diesel filters and Power Stroke F350s and whatnot. They are a little bit more, but that's because, you know, you got a bigger motor, bigger truck, bigger, you know, they're more expensive, but they're the same brand because, you know, they're more expensive because it's more, you need more protection in a diesel. So, but, let me think. Another thing is, how often do you change your oil in your car or truck? Now, in Frankie here and on all my vehicles, I don't care if new, old, I always change the oil in this thing, oil and filter, every 3,000 miles. And the book even says every 3,000 miles, so I go by the book and change it then. Not this 5, 7, not even this 10,000 mile BS, where they're trying to just, if you change your oil every 10,000 miles, your car truck's not going to last very long at all. It won't. I'm telling you, it will not. Because eventually that motor's going to get so gunked up with crap and sludge from those 10,000 mile oil changes, you're going to blow your motor. It's just the way that it is. And so, you change your oil every 3,000 miles, like the book says, or whatever your car truck recommends by the book, and you won't have no problems. Like now, Dad's Nissan, the oil change interval for it is 5,000 miles, and that's exactly what I change it at. 5,000. Well, she's a little more than 5,000 miles because he does a lot of driving. He's on the road a lot, and so I push it maybe 7,000, 8,000 miles. But then again, all he does is highway driving. He really hardly ever does stop and go. He mostly does, highway driving. You know, when he got it about just over a year ago when it had 50,000 miles. Again, it's a 2018. He got it when it had 50,000 miles. It's pushing 100,000, so he's put over 50,000 miles in a year that he's had it. And it's sitting about 96,000 miles right now. So, and I've changed the oil, try to change it every 5, but since he's on the road a lot, I push it out to 7, 8. It's never been past 8, that I know. Because I'm the one that does the oil changes and keeps up. I change the oil on every vehicle I own. I do it myself because nobody else will do it. Nobody else, can do it. Or I don't trust other people to do it. I do it myself. I know what's doing right. Nothing like that. So, and what else? If you don't, another thing to remember, if you don't keep your oil changed a lot, like if you don't change it every 5 or 3, however, if you go, too long between changes, not only will it build up sludge and cause damage to your motor, but it will eat those seals up. It'll eat your front main seal or your front main seal, your front or rear main seal. It'll eat them out and they'll leak like crazy. I know a guy, he's got a 93 Silverado, and it's got about 200,000 miles on it. And he ended up parking it because the rear main seal and all, the valve covers and all started leaking. But on that truck, you're supposed to change it every 3,000 miles. And he always changed it every 5 or so.